Okay, we are recording. Hugo, how are you, mate?
I'm good, thank you. Yeah, nice to
Wonderful.
yeah. I feel like we have been trying to arrange this for about a year.
when, when I asked you if you had got your songs ready, you was like, "Yeah, I sorted it a year ago." So that's how long this
Yeah.
has took to.
Amazingly, they're still pretty much the same. When I looked at them again, I was like, yeah, no, that is. I still pick those.
Oh, that's good.
Actually,
That's good.
I changed a couple. I'm lying.
Oh, okay, okay. Well, we've not we've not seen each other for a long time. I guess to give this sort of conversation a little bit of context, we met probably 10 years ago through a mutual friend that is the actor Matthew Horn.
Ten.
Um,
Ten's generous. I reckon it's longer than
it
10.
probably was, mate. I tell you, the first time I met you, you done a secret gig for the second album, for the Maccabee second album,
Right?
uh,
Yeah, yeah.
333. So how long ago was that?
Which is well, that's what's the second album? The third album was 2012, so second album's 2000. Oh God, I
Oh,
don't know.
okay. So we're
Uh,
looking a good 12 years ago then.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah.
Um,
No, I remember that show. I remember it.
and then obviously in that time, the Maccabees went on to achieve so much, and then you've disbanded, and then you've all gone and done other things, and you're here now with your new band with Felix and Will, and so we'll get into that. But let's start right at the very beginning, and I want to know. I want to kick off your playlist with the song that you regard as having the greatest ever intro, please.
Okay. Well, I've chosen um more of this is a recent thing really because uh firstly I'm gonna go and see him tonight. So it's Green
Okay.
Day, a song called Good Riddance,
Yeah.
uh, which is but I'm excited about seeing them because it's I've never seen them. I used to love them when I was a kid, and yeah, they're playing Electric Ballroom, which is going to be amazing.
Wow.
Yeah, that's a good place to go and see Green Day for the first
Jeez.
time.
I
Um,
did see they played a little pub as well last night,
did something
apparently.
last night, yeah, in Covent Garden. I think they did
Yeah.
up in Covent Garden. And of recently I've been listening with my kid who's 5 now, and we started listening to Green Day because like he just seems to love like pop punk, like
Yeah.
that's kind of connects with him. And Good Riddance, we were listening to that in the car, and because it does it, it's at the start of it, it's like an acoustic guitar, and
Mm.
it's like a full start. I think there's two like full starts, and then he starts playing, and it's the acoustic song.
Mm.
And but in between, I'd never noticed it until I listened with him. But because we had it so loud in the car after the full start, after the second full start, you just hear him go "fuck" like that. It like really, so we've now in this loop of like listening to that song and just cranking the intro up, just hearing him say "fuck" and watching my kid's face every time. And I like the idea that it's kind of like you're not allowed to swear, but in music,
Yeah.
you can get away with it. Like it's all right if we listen to music, you can sing the song, so you can say it there. But um uh so yeah, so that as I love that at the moment.
So I want to ask you about intros and the way that people sort of get their music now and consume their music. Um, if we look at when you started with the Maccabees, the way that people were listening to music was very different. Then people were still going out and buying CDs, uh, and and we've now seen the sort of explosion of Spotify into this kind of all-consuming beast. And we're also seeing things like TikTok are becoming quite important for artists to kind of get their music out there, and also artists like heritage artists to kind of have rejuvenated careers because one of their songs has gone a bit crazy on TikTok, which is quite surreal. Um, but both of those things, both TikTok and Spotify, it feels that the generations that are coming through, and I'm generalizing here, Hugo, that the attention spans are getting smaller, and there's lots of songs that seem to be starting with choruses. And yeah, I guess I'm leaning more towards sort of more commercial pop music,
Yeah, yeah.
um, and get fine tuning that almost the science of creating a pop record. I just wonder, with 86 TVs, does any of that stuff filter through into your creative process?
It's interesting. I think with the band with 86 TVs, I think uh we're still making music that we kind of based on our on yeah, it's not coming based on that world, and we're kind of hoping that still leaning into that there still is people still want that,
Yeah.
but so there isn't a thing to massively cut stuff down, although even with singles and stuff, I think radio don't really play singles unless they're 3 minutes, and that
Okay.
so like any you can't. I mean, even our latest single, High Love, which is 4.5 minutes, and we had to do a edit. We had the radio edits like just over 3 minutes, which is quite a lot of a song to take out.
Do you feel you're like that's compromising?
Um, I mean, I think it still works actually, that one. But it's kind of not compromising because the song on Spotify and stuff, it exists, which is where most people, I
Of
guess,
course.
listening to it. Sometimes it would be, but with that song, I think we get away with it. But and we did a version. We did a TV Sunday brunch, like
Yeah.
played live on that, and we had to do it in 2 minutes 30. So it's
Right.
like 4.5 minute song in 2 minutes 30. I mean, it still worked somehow, but
Yeah.
yeah,
It sounded like you were playing it hard and fast, though.
yeah, exactly, yeah, played it really fast, and so I don't know. I'm not opposed to that. I think you have to, as a band, be flexible, especially in this sort of day and age with stuff like that. But in terms of writing music, I don't think we think about that. But I do think, I mean, even the Beatles, you listen to all those Beatles records, and they all started with a chorus, and they were
Yeah.
quick songs, and they
Yeah.
so it's kind of not a new thing, I think. Uh, but yeah, how it plays into it's strange, that stuff. I mean, because people are writing verses that just get picked up. You just pick up a verse and on a TikTok or whatever, and it just
Yeah.
becomes the huge thing, and the rest of the song is kind of almost irrelevant to it
Yeah.
because how successful that verse is.
It's
I always
crazy.
found that recently that or not even that recently, but that Sam Fender song, which is I've forgotten the name of it now.
17 going under.
Yeah, that one. I always felt like it's like the second verse in it is amazing lyrically. It's like
I
that.
was far too scared to hit him, but I'd hit
Yeah,
him in a heartbeat now. Yeah.
yeah,
It's
and
so
that
weird. It's
I
so
heard
weird.
so much because that was and it was enough. So
Yeah.
when you heard it in that thing, you're like, it's just such a good verse. And in this day and age, it's like that verse can change your whole thing because so many people are exposed to just that bit.
That's so crazy you say that, right? Because I still DJ at the Pink Toothbrush, and we still are smashing out. In a world where the indie club seems to be dying, we're still smashing it out. And when we play that Sam Fender track, that line, everyone sings it 10 times louder than the rest of the song.
Yeah.
It's so strange, isn't it? It's a great little lyric, and it nails it perfectly. But it is strange, isn't it, Harry? It's the first the first part of the second verse, not the first, beginning of the song or the chorus. But yeah, there's something magical about it, I think.
And that probably is a bit of the like time, this day and age that maybe it's had more exposure than the rest of the
Yeah.
song to a degree. Although I'm sure, the whole song was great, but it's maybe that's further ingrained.
Yeah, absolutely.
Great lyric. But yeah, it's crazy. I mean, that I recently, over the last few years anyway, this a track I produced for a guy called Matt Maltese, It's called As the World Caves In, and it was at the time, it was maybe 5 years ago now that we made the track, and that he was on a major label, released the track. It didn't really, I'd done a few things with him, but it didn't really take off. I think we thought we'd made something unbelievable, and it was just like, this was just the beginning of like such a huge.
I thought it was great.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I mean, I think it is great, but there was like, it didn't take off. I think it made people panic in the label, and they didn't feel like it wasn't sort of pop enough, maybe, or it didn't connect as it could. And I think he was dropped from the label after that record, and then he carried on making great music. But something happened with TikTok, and like a section of that, or someone covered it, and it just went mad viral. Like, and it had, I think now it's on like 350 million plays on Spotify.
Wow.
So it's just like absolutely, I mean, it's kind of like, I still check it against things that I'm like, so like huge. I think of the biggest songs that I know, or of the thing, and go and check how many plays they've had, and it's like 300 million is a lot of plays for that.
Yes, ridiculous.
And that stemmed from a TikTok cover and it just kind of carried on and carried on, and fed back into his thing, and has put him in an amazing place as well.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to take you back. First song that you remember hearing that had an emotional impact on you, please.
So for this, I've chosen Blur, the Universal, which was I had a nanny at the time, and she she was looking after us after school or something, and she brought us, maybe it was for my birthday, but she brought me a tape of the Universal, and I just have that memory of like, I didn't at that age, I didn't know who Blur were. I didn't really have the context of that, and just remember it feeling, because it's all the strings that start it, and it's quite a sophisticated song, and all in its own world. And I just remember listening to that and just being transported, really, and that was and being like so intrigued by the world it lived in as music, that it just kind of, that thing of, like having a tape and it having a whole world in it that you couldn't. It was just some sort of magic, really.
Yeah.
And that so that was the first time I remember seeing music as like this sort of piece of magic that you just couldn't work out. I don't know. Maybe you're kind of drawn to it. Maybe you're drawn to how that was possible, or what that was.
If you had to sort of pinpoint the emotion, what was it?
That's really hard. That's really hard. I don't know. I don't actually know what that emotion is. Don't know. Don't know. But
it's wonderful, isn't it? When you
it's just beautiful and uplifting, and yes, that kind of came from somewhere else. That's what it felt like. Although, essentially it wasn't from that far away.
Yeah.
But and that kind of I only sort of found out late, but we made the first Maccabees record with Stephen Street, who I found out made that record.
Yeah.
And actually still, and then 86 TVs, we've been working with Stephen again.
Amazing.
so there's a sort of nice theme to that, really, that's kind of, yeah, that he's been involved in a lot of music that I've made. And
Yeah. You mentioned sort of, the nanny got you that tape when you was very young. Where was growing up? Where was home then? And how musical was home growing up?
so we were in South London, and musically, we grew up listening to, Beatles tapes in the car and Van Morrison, and so we kind of always listened to a lot of great music. And that had lots of, we would sing the whole Beatles records in the back of the car, me and my brothers, and know all the words, know as soon, know what the first note of the next track would be, type
Yeah.
thing. So we listened to a lot of music. My dad, not a musician, but loved music. And my mum had previously played guitar. There was a guitar in the house that was hers.
Yeah.
I never saw her play, but so and then my dad's side of the family, in Isle of Wight, one of his brothers was a musician, and he had made a record when we were I was probably about 6 years old or something, and he made his first album, and gave us a CD of his album, and it was a picture of him on the front cover, and it was like, and we kind of obsessed over his album for a long time, me and my brothers. And it kind of, more recently, thinking back on it, we see it as like that kind of obsession with that record was almost like it made it seem possible to us
That's so important, isn't it?
yeah, because it was like, because our uncle did it, he made an album,
Yeah.
And I think, yeah, that those little things that are like, yeah, they just give you, without you knowing it, they make it feel like it's possible to do
Yeah.
that. You can do that. It's not just something other people do.
Yeah. Absolutely. Tell me about the song that reminds you of your time at school, please, Hugo.
So that I'll go on for. Do you know the Bouncing Souls?
Mm-hmm.
A song called "Kate Is Great," which is I still listen to it a lot, and I don't know a huge amount about the band, but it was, my school life was really, I still see it as, it was like I had a life outside of school. So I sort of had a lot of friends. Through riding BMX, basically, I'd kind of met riding a bike on the common, and kind of met, and other kids were riding bikes on the common, and we'd kind of formed this like group of people that rode bikes, that were all kind of living out, yeah, we'd get home from school and get on our bikes and go and see who was on the common on the bike, and
Yeah.
that kind of led into that. For years and years, that was all I was interested in, really, BMXing. And we built dirt jumps on the common, and kind of lived our life on our bikes, and watching BMX videos was the thing. And
Yeah.
this song was in a BMX video. I can't remember which video it was, but it kind of feels like a soundtrack to a lot of
Yeah.
that.
It's so strange, the amount of people that have come on this podcast over the years, Hugo, and from kind of my generation down to I guess your generation, to I guess it sort of maybe stopped around the time of the sort of DVD exploding, but that will go, oh, I first heard that on a skate video or a BMX video,
Yeah,
and just
yeah,
having them VHSs that were being passed around, and it was like, fuck, what's this song? And
yeah,
like, and
yeah.
so many
Brilliant.
people have referenced like them videos that are having that kind of
Wow.
huge impact on them.
Yeah,
First time I ever heard Sonic Youth was on a skate video, and I was like,
yeah,
what is this? And like,
Amazing. I love that you can still see the visuals as well.
mm,
When you hear the song, it kind of comes along
yeah,
with what was happening. Um, yeah, that was, I guess that was a way of discovering music as well.
mm,
Because it was one of the, I guess they were almost kind of always, they were always soundtracked, weren't they, with
yeah,
music?
yeah,
Um, but that's that song as well. We later on in the Maccabees, we start actually, well, early on in the Maccabees, we toured America supporting Block Party with the Noisettes as well, who now Jamie Morrison, who was the drummer in the Noisettes, is now in 86 TV.
yeah,
But we were playing in New Jersey, which is like Springsteen's hometown, and it was unbelievable. It was just amazing that whole day. I remember it. But after we went to a bowling alley and with everyone, old Block Party and Noisettes, and it was like this really cool, like old sort of 60s bowling alley, and everything was just. We were in America and we were
yeah.
19. It was like um and the someone was like, oh yeah, bands play here, Bouncing Souls played here, and we were talking to the like bar lady or the in the bowling alley, and she was like, and I was going, I love Kate is great, like Kate is great, and she was like, that's Kate over there, and so it turns out Kate is the singer's mum.
Wow.
And she was like, so I met Kate.
That's so cool.
Good, yeah, yeah. I was
So
made up.
when did you park up the BMX and pick up a guitar then?
I was still playing. We started a band. I was 16. I was still kind of my main thing was BMX, and that's what I do. And I at that time I still sort of saw myself as that was what I was gonna do, ride BMX, and I started playing in the band, and I'd broken my arm a couple of times, and it kind of got to the point where it was like with the band, it felt like actually that stuff just wasn't. They don't go together.
Yeah. Yeah.
So like having a broken wrist is not doesn't work if you want to be playing guitar.
Yeah.
And then really the band just kept moving. It had such a momentum at that time, and I think that just sort of overtook really.
Yeah.
But quite happy with that. But yeah, I did, and then yeah, and I've still got BMX.
Yeah.
Still take it down to the racetrack.
Love it.
Yeah.
Did you enjoy school?
Uh I sort of sometimes think I did. Um I have good memories from it to a degree, but I sort of have bad memories. I mean,
Yeah.
I because I when I was 16, yeah, when I was 16, so a lot of things happened at the same time, really. But my mum died when I was 16, so just before I was doing GCSEs, I think, just before I had to do GCSEs. And so it's all a really strange time for me that,
Yeah.
especially looking back on it, like how much like dealing with all of that and how you sort of process that
Yeah.
while going to school, and having, you know, people being on your back about doing exams and I feel like I'm, yeah, I felt the school I was at, I didn't feel that supported looking back on it as at the age I was, and um so there's a lot of stuff there actually where I did, and it probably leads into that thing of like having a life outside school, and my friends outside of school were people that I could just be myself with and kind of escape, and I felt a bit trapped in school,
Yeah.
that stuff. um but and all of it, that was around the same time we started the band. and it kind of the focus of, I think that extreme focus in starting up, because you have to have that when you're starting a band, and you know, we had such kind of drive and almost escapism as well, because it was kind of, it wasn't running away, but it was creating a world that you could focus on and live in and get moving, you know. And I think the band did that, you know.
Okay. Tell me the first song you remember buying from a record shop, please.
With this, I've actually chosen the first song that Felix brought from the record shop.
Okay.
Which is Eternal Power of a Woman. So that was, I distinctly remember him coming back with it on tape and being so pleased with his choice that he'd got Power of a Woman. So that was my first memory of the record. And then not long after, he brought me Hey Macarena on CD.
You're really throwing Felix under the bus here. Not once, but twice.
I know, yeah. I've still got Hey Macarena. I don't know why he chose that for me, but he did. So yeah.
Oh, fantastic. I mean, as you got older and your taste developed, how important was like the record shop for you growing up? Was it somewhere you'd go and sort of hang out, or was you kind of more sort of touched with that sort of Napster generation of sort of the first early sort of MP3s and downloads?
Yeah, that was kind of just after. I think there was, I guess there was that. I still, to a degree, had that record shop experience, but I remember there was a record shop near me called Is Records or something like that. I don't know if it didn't, I don't think it lasted that long, but they did like had loads of weird bootleg stuff, and I used to buy like Bob Dylan bootlegs and stuff from there. But probably not that long after, all the kind of like MP3 world started to begin. But I did buy records. Would have been CDs, yeah, for quite a while.
Where you at with it now?
With buying records, I don't buy many records really. I buy records of people I know, or you know, kind of go out to support. But and I have a collection of vinyls that have been, you know, that I will occasionally add to if I find something special, but not really new. Don't buy new music like that.
Yeah. Which
is quite weird, but that's just how, you know, listen to stuff on Spotify.
Yeah. I mean, you should stress as well, it's really fucking expensive buying records.
It really is, yeah. It really is. I like going into record shops, but again, yeah, it's like it's an expensive hobby, that buff, which it'd be nice to say no, I still go and buy all my records, but I don't.
Yeah, you're not alone, mate. You're not alone. Okay. Well, I guess most of the times that we've spent in each other's company has generally been in clubs that me and Matt were doing, where you and Felix and had come and DJ, and then you also come and DJ for me and Pip at the book club as well. And so it's fitting that we moved to track 5 then. And I'm going to ask you to tell me the song that soundtracked your year's clubbing, please, Hugo.
Do you know, I found this one really difficult because there are so many songs in that time that I think and the time I'm thinking of really is that like early kind of that indie world, really, when probably around the time Maccabees had moved to Brighton, and just before we got a record deal, and we were kind of just playing shows all the time, and everything seemed to be an indie club night, and and it was just, that was the world we were in, and it was, and there were so many bands that were massively inspiring, and it kind of kept switching between, and it felt like there was so many guitar bands at that time.
Yeah.
And you know, every month there'd be a new guitar band with this new song that was just undeniable, and you know, that became the song. Um and then there's the greats of that time, what with like Interpol and the Strokes, and that felt, and Kings of Leon, that felt like they were the heavyweights, you know.
Yeah.
And then but I've chosen Future Heads. I'll go with Hounds of Love, just
Yeah.
because of what it had at that time. And I think they were one of the bands that um definitely defined a time really strongly for us. And we loved the Future Heads, and seeing them live, and I just thought Barry was such an amazing front man,
Yeah.
and his voice, every vocal he delivered is so good. And it kind of he had such an energy, and like yeah, and as a band they were just interesting. And uh so yeah, Future, and they had loads of great songs, and we ended up playing with them a bunch. And um they, yeah, they all, I mean, and I love, actually, he made a record, Barry made a solo record a few years ago that's so good.
I've not heard that.
It's like a piano, yeah, it's just piano vocals really, and
Wow.
it's really, really powerful. And I think, and there's he did an article about it, where it kind of goes through like his struggles with, I don't want to, because I don't know, I can't remember exactly, but like kind of mental health things. And the record really kind of like feels like it somehow puts all those things together. And um it's just, and it has all the kind of bite that he had back in that time with the
Yeah.
early Future Heads, but it's still there in a very different form. And I love that.
Oh, check that out. I've not heard that.
Yeah.
What I tell you what, if I have to think of you know, looking at this question, I've been a club promoter for 30 years now, Hugo, and there was a moment, and I've got a photo of it as well. I don't know if I've mentioned this to you before, but Matt and I launched our night in Brighton, and it was the night of the NME tour, I think. And you've all come down to DJ, and I've got this photo, and it's you and Felix DJing, and me and Matt are standing there like watching. I don't know who took the photo, and in the middle of the dance floor, you can see the drums,
Right. Yeah.
the band, the drums, and Big Pink, I believe.
Yeah. Yeah.
Were Bombay Bicycle Club on that tour?
They were. Yeah. They were.
And and you're playing Dirty Diana,
That's right. Yeah.
and they're all losing their shit to it. And it's an amazing
Right.
photograph. I've got this really cool black and white photograph of it
Oh,
somewhere. It's a cracker. I'll
I'd
dig it
love
out.
to see that. Yeah. Yeah. I'd love to see that. Yeah. I remember that. That was
Yeah,
great. Yeah. That was,
wonderful.
we probably did Brighton Dome, I
You've done the
think, on
dome
that.
that night. That's right.
Yeah. They were great, those tours,
Yeah,
because there's so many people on it. And yeah, it was wicked. That was a great night.
fantastic. I'm going to take you home for track 6. A favourite song from an artist from your home county, please.
So for this, I'm going to choose Jamie T, a song called St. Christopher, which was a B-side to Sticks and Stones EP, I think. And it's a really lo-fi song, really, that which was always the thing that Jamie did so well in the early demos of his, that are just, it's just, I don't know why, because Jamie's from South London as well, and that song, yeah, just still is something that I just, it's up there with one of my favorite songs. and it's I love songs that are kind of off the path of B-sides, or just the odd song that's not the main, that's not the main one, and it's beautiful. Yeah, it really is. It's like there's something about it. Yeah, and I actually got him to. I don't think he'd played it for a long time when I was working with him, and I was like, "Play me some Christopher," and he didn't. He was like, I don't remember how to play that." And then the next day he came back in and he'd learnt it for me, and he just played me the whole song, just
wonderful,
in like perfect form, and it's just, yeah.
So how did like your relationship with Jamie come about? Because we've seen you sort of share the stage. You come on at Glastonbury with the Maccabees, and was it? Yeah, that was maybe on the last record, wasn't it? That he come out on that year. Marks to Prove It, he come on and sang, didn't he? That's right. And then obviously you've been playing guitar with Jamie as well. So how did that kind of relationship come about? And then you end up working on his records and stuff.
So well, we toured together early Maccabees days, so we supported him. I mean, all around that time we'd go and see it, because that was when he'd started out with he just played bass guitar and somehow had this, every time he'd play you'd go and it'd just be like this kind of frenzy of people that knew all these songs that hadn't been released. And so we all immediately knew that he was one of the most, like, he had something really unique within that world that we were in. And then when his first record came out, actually we saw him. That was the first time we met him. We were playing in Brighton somewhere, like, can't remember the venue, but we played a show, and the downstairs room was like a drum and bass night or something, and he was emceeing. And he came up after we played, and came up to us, to me and Fee, and we had a chat, and he's like, oh, like he's like, he loved the band, and he's like, that's like, I want to start a band, I want to get like a band together and all that. And then when he made that first record, he invited us on tour with him, so we did a UK tour at the kind of like height of excitement for him on that record. And then we just sort of kept in touch, really. And I've always just, that the first and second Jamie records were probably the biggest like influence, or just records that really stuck with me in that time. And so I've always seen him as a bit of a hero of that era. And he started playing with us. He played the last Maccabee show. He did Marks to Prove It with us then, and actually at that show, so we were splitting up, and he come with us. I remember at soundcheck, he came up to me and he was like, I want to have a chat with you about production. I was like, he sort of saw his thing. He's like, okay, so, because he loved Marks to Prove It, which I produced the record. And he's like, want to have a chat about production. And then that conversation just led in. I reckon when Maccabee split up, he was like, right, that means you can come and do my record. We did that. And then really it's just a friendship, like playing with him. He's just, he basically was kind of like, it's kind of an open invitation every time I play, come and play. It's amazing to do that. And then he took us on tour 86 TVs last year, so we did our first tour supporting him, which was a massive, I mean, it's so helpful for the band, because we'd made this record that we hadn't played to anyone, and we hadn't really done any gigs. I think we'd done one show, And when we got up, because they were big venues, you know, and just being thrown in the deep end, I don't think anyone else would have offered a band that had no music out, no like a main support on a big tour like that, and actually just throwing ourselves into that. I think we really quickly learned like how the band was going to work live, and really made us develop quickly, because we were playing Alexandra Palace to like a full Alexandra Palace, you know, with no songs that anyone knew, and I think it made us really quickly kind of lock it all down and figure out exactly what it was live, and make it work in that context. And so it's been a massive help, that, in starting this band.
Can I ask you about confidence? Because in any time I've had any interaction with you, you've been very calm, always super kind, and very come across very laid back. How is it, you know, whether it be in the Maccabees, whether it's been, you know, you're saying walking out on Ali Pally, supporting Jamie T, to, you know, these huge, you know, festival stages, like, are you a confident person when you walk on stage?
Within the context of the band and music, I think I am. But I wouldn't be confident walking out and giving a speech. You know, that stuff terrifies me, you know, speaking or those things really, like, I'm not that sort of person, you know. But I think I've always, with music, I've found it and especially with bands, I've always been in bands and always kind of like formed a group, you know, that and I think it's always that thing of, if it's something that you're like if it's your world, you know, it's like if you're playing your music, it's kind of like it's kind of like a force field for that stuff, because you know you believe in it, and that's that makes it possible. But you know, if you ask me to read out a paragraph of a book to 50 people, I'd be terrified.
Is there some comfort as well when you stand on stage, and certainly now, and you're looking either side and there's like a wall of whites? Is that like, is that kind of nice to know that you got your brothers, like, you know, either side of you? Obviously, you know, at Felix in the Maccabees, but having, you know, the positioning of the band now, having all three of you up front of the stage looks fucking great, by the way. Does it feel good knowing like that this is, you know, this is the family doing this?
It really does, yeah. I think it's an amazing. I'm still sort of yet to process that, really, because we've been working on this for a long time, really, like developing it, and even just finding the balance of making it work between us, and playing to each other's strengths, and dynamically dealing with it, with the balance of it all, and having our main thing of the focus of making music together, and actually it's such a dream thing, you know. If that would have been the kind of, it would have been it when we were 16 or whatever, starting to do a band, the three of us, and obviously Jamie, he's a big part of it, but us three brothers to be playing together and actually completely create this together is like kind of beyond. It's kind of hard to actually process how much that means, I think. And it's been amazing. Like, it's an amazing thing to be all these years on and kind of closer than ever with my brothers, you know.
Well, I mean, let's talk about the name of the band as well, because the first conversation I ever had with you, I was telling you about how much I love the band I Am Clue, and we was talking about how we love that band, and you know, I knew that he's obviously working on something, and then when I just see 86 TVs, I was like, "Fuck, man, what a name!"
I'm so glad. Like I love the name, and I think we didn't have a name for a long time. Uh, we'd actually made the record that we'd made. Well, we made a 20-track album without a name, and it was still like in the back of everyone's mind, like this is gonna come down,
Yeah,
come down to the wire here because we're gonna need a name because we can't do anything. And that name, there'd been lots of names around, but that had been in there early. I think I put that one in there early. I was like, I've got, I don't know why, there was some sort of draw to it. I just thought it was don't know, 86 TVs are just, it just looks cool as well. It
looks
looks
great.
cool. It's different. It's like it stands out. And the best, even better, is that it has massive meaning to us because that, again, back to when we were 16, that was I'm Clute with the band that we would go and see, and we would all go and we'd stand at the front of the gig, like we'd stand in front of Johnny Bramwell for the whole gig. Like I remember him handing me the set list after the show and stuff,
Yeah,
like because I was standing in front of him. And I think as in terms of songwriting, um, his songs were the ones that just were the most powerful to us. So there was some sort of magic involved in that,
yeah,
in his writing, and uh, so it's and them as a band, and so I think, yeah, there's some sort of synchronicity about that they were the songs we really connected over.
yeah.
And 86 TVs, yeah, kind of stayed.
Wonderful. Before I ask you the last question, I touched on confidence there, and you from the time you left school, you've pursued a career in one of the hardest industries to achieve success in, and you've achieved success for many, many, many years, and continue to do so. Are you driven, Hugo? I mean, if so, what drives you?
I am, yeah. Uh, what drives me? I don't know. I feel like uh, it's hard to say because it's what I've always done, creating stuff, making stuff, um, and although it doesn't always see result, it feels like it doesn't. And I think that's how a lot of people would see it. The amount you have to put in before you start seeing any, especially if you're talking financially or whatever, like
Yeah,
in how people generally work, because even with the Mac, it's like it's hard to quantify what you put into it before it becomes something that's in any way stable,
yeah, yeah,
because
yeah,
it's all your time, it's all your thinking, it's everything is about keeping pushing that thing and creating for that. Um, and it doesn't always have there is no guarantee that
yeah,
you can make it stable, and uh, but I think I don't know what that is because it's not like I don't have a sort of um an inbuilt. I don't feel like I can sort of rest on my extreme talent. It's like I just graft.
yeah,
Like just keep working at stuff, and uh so the drive to do it again with a band, I mean, which is kind of insane after Maccabee stuff, to go to start a band again, especially in the
yeah,
climate of how difficult it is
yeah,
being a band. And it looks, if you sort of look at it on paper, the idea of like, I'm 37, like starting a band from nothing, um, is just like, it's kind of like, yeah, we've got a family now and all that stuff. Like it's
yeah,
not really, but there's just, I can't, maybe didn't see another. It's just natural. I don't know. It's just a natural thing. I was actually going to ask you about, because you recently I've been getting into cold water swimming.
Oh, really?
I remember seeing some videos of you.
Yeah, I've been doing that for years. It's one of my favorite things
Yeah,
to do. Yeah.
nuts.
You're a bit young for a midlife crisis, Hugo.
I
What's going on,
know.
mate?
Man, it's like it's quite, but that sort of stuff, like, because it feels it feels extreme. Like at the moment, the and it's painful, and
The
it's like,
moment, that's the key though. You're in that moment. Nothing
yeah,
else matters at that point.
yeah,
And
yeah, yeah,
it's
yeah,
all encompassing. Like
yeah,
that's the
yeah,
best part.
and that's maybe that's like there's a sort of addiction to it, or like that extreme thing. I don't know, but those sort of things like that, although in many different forms, I've always been sort of quite an addictive personality with stuff that's like even with
I
BMXing
was
or
going to
whatever.
say the parallels there, you know,
Yeah,
that kind of adrenaline is there, isn't it, in
yeah,
BMXing and obviously music and jumping in
yeah,
ice cold water. Less chance of
yeah,
breaking your arm in there, though, mate.
yeah, yeah, exactly. Nice and gentle. But yeah, yeah. Maybe there's something in that, being drawn to those things.
Okay.
Yeah.
Last track, and this is when you get to be a tastemaker or influencer, as the kids call it. And I want to know a song that you think many may not know that you would like them to hear, please.
So this is a song. It's an odd song. Not many people. I feel like not many people have heard it. No one I really suggest it to has heard it, but everyone always loves it when you play it. And it's we had a guitar tech, a good friend. We've kind of got this thing where he'll always send me songs, and they'll always be interesting and odd and different. And he this song is by a guy called Jackie Leven, who's a Scottish guy. He's not alive anymore. But yeah, the song's called "The Sexual Loneliness of Jesus Christ," and it's just like he one of the thing that immediately happens when you listen to that is he wobbles his voice. So he sings with like a really like extreme wobble to his voice, but that you don't, you very rarely hear that.
Yeah,
But it is like addictively amazing, that, and it's a good song. You should listen to it.
I will. Well,
Yeah,
people can go and explore it because I put together a little Spotify playlist to accompany the podcast with all
oh
of your
great.
song
Yeah,
choices, and obviously we'll put some of your work that you've done over the years, and obviously we'll put the two tracks that are available for A6 TV. So second single, "I Love's That Now."
yeah.
What's coming next? What's happening?
So I don't know what there is that there's no dates announced of stuff, but there's more music coming starting next year. There's a tour in March, the UK tour, and then there's an album coming next year. Let's say
Fantastic.
in trouble, but the record's made. We're in the studio at the moment, and actually, right, there's like we have this sort of on never ending stream of songs that we need to work through, that so we're continuing with that. And because I think that's the when because we all write songs where they begin individually, and having three people writing songs, it's just like it only takes, you write three songs and suddenly you got nine songs to get through as a
Yeah.
band. And it's so our main problem at the moment is like limiting how many songs that
Wow.
we have,
I mean, that's a
because
good problem to have, isn't it?
yeah, it should, I mean, hopefully that will serve us well doing an album too. But we got 20, we'll have 23 songs going into this album, which is only going to be probably 12 songs like every other album.
Yeah.
But yeah, so yeah, it's a lot of music.
Oh, fantastic. And if people want to keep up to speed with tour dates and album releases and such, where's the best place to keep up to speed with the band?
Well, I imagine that Instagram website, whatever the kids do. I mean, our TikTok's probably not looking great, but which we are trying. We are
Yeah,
trying.
yeah,
Um, yeah, that and then my personal one for production stuff and whatever.
yeah. Okay, well, if it's cool with you, we'll tag the band in all the socials when this comes out, so if people aren't following you, they can go and do so
Yeah,
from there. Hugo, it's always an absolute joy catching up and talking to you, mate.
It's great.
And I wish you all the success with the band. It's just great to hear music from you again, and it's sounding fucking awesome at the moment, and I can't wait to hear the record. And yeah, absolutely.
Well, thanks, man. Thanks. Yeah, it's great. I love chatting to you.
I'm going to press stop. Don't go anywhere.